And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RBLR Rays podcast. Thank you all for joining us today on this Saturday, the 23rd of September. Getting real close to the postseason, and we have a very special start to something new on this episode, getting close to the postseason. Welcome in Pat Davenport, who is, it's not, we've seen you before. You've been an awesome guest before, and now taking over for Ben as the new co-host. Pat, welcome. Excited to have you. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a bit slighted because I was expecting to be the most exciting call-up in the Tampa area this year. And somebody stole my thunder. I mean, we'll talk more about that guy who's stolen all of my thunder later on in the pod. But I'm doing good. It's September. It's meaningful baseball. Everything is happening. We are feeling all of the emotions. I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest with you, Zach. I love the drama of September.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even when things aren't going the way you want it to, you cannot deny that the games are exciting and every at-bat is worth watching for so many teams. And it kind of expands during most of the regular season, at least me personally, I kind of have tunnel vision. I'm kind of watching the Rays. That's kind of, I'm also observing what's happening throughout the league. But at this point, I'm watching the Rays game. I'm flipping over to the Orioles game. What's going on with the Rangers and the Mariners? I'm all over the place. It's fun. It's fun times. It's exciting. And it is 100%. Don't want it any other way. And we wouldn't want it any other way than you, our loyal listeners, joining us. And if you could just like and subscribe as you have been doing and sharing it around, we would really appreciate it. We'd love to get this show out to as many people as possible, especially as we're getting into the postseason. We got some fun stuff planned as we get closer to the postseason. And just, if you want to be a part of that, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep being a part of this, because we got some fun stuff coming up. Speaking of fun stuff, well, not so fun. The first two games were fun. Let's talk about a little bit what happened in this last week. The Baltimore series did not end the way that we wanted it to. Winning the first two games, we were feeling pretty good. I need to stop, and I will stop predicting what's going to happen on the game that happens the day that we record, because we almost always play horribly the day that I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to win this game. Oh yeah, Glasnow's going to shove, gives up 6. Yeah, I'm never predicting what's happening that day ever again. So those last two games do not go well. And we lose the first game in kind of like, all right, well, this isn't working out fashion. And then to lose the last game in the 11th inning via the walk-off sac fly, that was rough. That was tough.
Yeah.
Tough way to end. What are your thoughts around that series as it ended in an unfortunate fashion?
Yeah, so the way we walked into that was going, okay, a sweep would be amazing, but if we can take 3 out of 4, that is exactly what we want to keep ourselves right in the thick of that division race. And we took the first two, so we were like, okay, we're on the right track here. And then Glasnow did not have it on the Saturday game, and you go, okay, fine. A sweep was kind of, something that was a pipe dream anyway. We'll take that. And then that Sunday game, oh my goodness, I was not pleasant to be around after the end of that Sunday game. I had to go take a shower. I had to go walk it off. Two opportunities where we were one pitch away from closing that game out, and we got essentially blooped to death by the Orioles at the end there. It was a heartbreaker. And I don't even think the Rays did particularly anything wrong. We just got babbipped, and Adley Rutschman is insane, is all I can say. Is a tip of the cap to him, where he clipped Fairbanks at 100 miles an hour top of the zone for a home run, and then was able to fight off another tough pitch to get on base in extras as well. Yeah. So he was the X factor in that one, and we move on. And then we went to the Angels, and that was a bit of an up and down series as well.
It was, when the Angels series was kind of a series where we're like, maybe we get a sweep here. This is a team that has seemingly should have packed it in. Their season should be over. And really, the games 1 and 3 were pretty good games for the Rays. The first game had a nice little start from Bradley. Baby Rays had some heroics late in the game. Basabe had a really nice hit. Looked really good. And then in the middle, we had a kind of a rough game. Savale just kind of just like death by 1,000 cuts. Just some
Yeah.
really unfortunate. And it's interesting. This has kind of been a topic that we've been seeing floating around is what is your opinion on Savali at this point in the season after seeing what we've seen of him so far? How do you feel about him as a potential playoff starter?
I still back him to keep it brief. I still back Savali. There's so many weird things going on with him where there's such encouragement in terms of his strikeout rate has been skyrocketing since he's come to the Rays. He was usually known as a kind of soft contact kind of guy. And now he's like a big strikeout guy. He's been putting up really high strikeout numbers, and his walk rate since coming to the Rays has also gone down. These are all the things that we like to see on the peripherals under the hood with our pitches. He's getting more swings and misses. His command's actually better, but his BABIP has also skyrocketed, and it feels like all of his stats have been that death by 1,000 cuts kind of analogy where the BABIP has just been all over the place. And I think that's due for some regression. I would back him in a playoff start over Zach Littell. I don't know if you disagree. I know there are Rays fans that are kind of fighting all over the place about who should start a potential game 3 over Littell or Savali. Where are you landing on that?
So let me give you some stats from that last Savali start. His BABIP in that game, 750.
Oh my
a 750 BABIP. His FIP, filling independent pitching, 395. Just take a guess what his xFIP was.
Ooh, his xFIP, I bet it was like in the twos or
0.70 xFIP. So he's just having the worst luck of any Rays starter. I mean, when you look across the last week, there were some good performances this last week. There was nobody on the team with a lower xFIP over the last week other than Jalen Beeks had a 0.559. No one had a lower xFIP than Savali. Not, Eflin, not Diekman, not Bradley. He had the by far the lowest xFIP. Just getting destroyed, death by 1,000 cuts. He's doing the right things. Things are gonna turn for him. I'm very much in favor of him. I think the reason why I put Savali over Eflin right now for me, and we'll get into this a little bit more maybe next week when we kind of do our postseason preview. But the reason why is Littell has the ability to come out of the bullpen, which I think is a very valuable thing because you essentially have a do-over just sitting there in the bullpen. If somebody doesn't have it, you have a do-over where you can just send Littell out to eat 4 or 5 innings at a pretty high quality level at any moment. I think that having that is more valuable than putting him in as a starter because I think Savali is a good starter who has had perhaps the worst luck of anybody in Major League Baseball and definitely the worst luck of anybody on the Tampa Bay Rays. By far the biggest differential between his xFIP and FIP. Just getting destroyed by death by 1,000 cuts. So it is what it is. We would have loved to have better, series wide results, but got the job done. Was really fun to see Margot get back to his Margot ahead days.
Yes.
And walk it off. That was super fun. And continue kind of moving things in the right direction. My big takeaway from the Angels series was just that this is, as we've seen so many times before, this is just a resilient team. They have had so much thrown at them, which we'll get into a little bit more in a minute. They've had so much thrown at them all season long from so many angles. And there were plenty of times when I would say that teams of lesser makeup and lesser management, lesser leadership would have folded. This team has not folded, and they've been given many opportunities to fold even in games. That game 3 was a very frustrating game. There was some unfortunate plays that were made. There were some opportunities with runners in scoring position that were not turned in. It was a game where you thought this may be one where they just say, whatever, it's not working out and pack it in. But they did not. They stayed the course. They kept fighting. And they got the win. And that's what has set this team apart. What has allowed this team to, despite the injuries, still be a 90 knocking on the door of a 100-win team is they just don't give up. And it's super admirable to watch. And it's why I still have faith in them going into the postseason because they are a team that does not give up.
No, and I completely agree with exactly what you're saying. And I think that also is a testament to how this roster is constructed. We essentially have Rays A and then we have the Rays B down in Durham. I think about 80% of the Durham roster could be trusted to take major league at bats or pitch major league innings for this Rays team. And we've seen them be tested. I don't think anybody had Oslevis Basabe having regular at bats this season with the big league club and being competent in that role. We could say the same about anyone down there. And I'm just super excited about this Rays team and how they don't give up. And you can look across the league at any other team. The Yankees, Judge goes down for a little bit. Goodbye. See you later down in the cellar. The Texas Rangers go through a bit of bullpen struggles. All of a sudden, their stranglehold on the division slips out the way. The Padres, they just can't seem to come back from things. They struggle in one-run games and extra inning games. And they're a team full of superstars on paper. So the mentality is absolutely there. And that's so important when we go down to where, at this point in the season, the results are more important than the process.
Absolutely. And the results are what ultimately matters. You're absolutely right. And we are continuing to get that result. And it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do going forward. Moving on from the Angels series into the Toronto series. We lost the first game of that. It was kind of an ump show, in my opinion, on Tyler. There was some really questionable umpiring. I haven't seen the umpire scorecard from that game, but there was a couple of pitches where I was like, okay, that should have been the end of that inning, or at least should have put Tyler in a better position to get out of that inning. It was what it was. Yet, and Jason Adam comes back in, has a rough outing, and is hurt again. So just kind of a unfun way to start that series. And it to me, it kind of speaks to, this is such a long season, and even when you feel like things are kind of going in a positive direction, where you've won a series where it was not an easy series to win, even though you probably should have won that series, momentum is a hard thing, and you can kind of be feeling good about yourself, and then you go into another series and you start the game super strong, and sometimes they could just evaporate, and that's where the mental toughness part of the game comes in. And I'm curious to see how they're going to bounce back on today and tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think with this division chase, I think the Orioles are feeling the pressure more than the Rays are at this point. I'm seeing tweets from beat reporters saying that we're hearing a lot of expletives from the Orioles clubhouse when the Rays come back and win a game. You don't really hear that from the Rays. I think that is, again, a testament to that mentality, and the Orioles are feeling the squeeze far more than this Rays club, which could be the big factor down the stretch. The Rays just need to put their head down, take it one game at a time. Do not scoreboard watch. Leave that to us, the fans, and just nail it. Focus in, blinkers on, get what you need to get done right now.
Well, and when I don't know if you after the game, the Angels game where Margot walked it off, Trisha interviewed Margot, and what he said when she asked him, "Hey, are you guys are still trying to chase the division? What does that look like to you?" And he said exactly what we're saying right now, which is we're just going to win the games we can win. We can't really focus on what they're doing. We just got to win the games that we can win. And that kind of leads me to one thing that I have been seeing a lot of people saying, and it's a result of the injuries. And a lot of people are saying we should just put everybody in bubble wrap and, just take the rest of the season off, basically put everybody in bubble wrap, give a couple of bats here and there, let the rookies play. Don't really think about trying to win the division anymore. Just kind of punt on the rest of the season from that perspective and get ready for the postseason. How do you feel about that mindset?
Well, I'm going to throw it back to something that I've been saying every time I've been on the pod so far. The biggest fear that any team should have, and what this Rays team should have, is not necessarily who we're going to face in the playoffs, but how little we're going to face them in the playoffs, how little variance, how little room for error we're going to have in a playoff series. And in a best of 3 series, that is a terrible scenario for any team to face any team in with a season on the line. I am of the belief that you could put the Braves against the A's in a best of 3 series, and it's about a 55% chance that the Braves walk take that series. And that's not the odds that you want going into any series. The Rays, I think on paper, are a favorable matchup against the Rangers, Mariners, Blue Jays, and Astros, whoever we end up facing. But in a best of three, all it takes is for Tyler Glasnow to not have it game one. His command loses it, his curveball's not there. And all of a sudden, we're fighting an uphill battle. So while we are only 1.5 games out of that division, we need to push, we need to chase, because it's still very much within reach. If the Orioles had won both their games against the Guardians and they were 3.5 games up, maybe I'd consider that stance. But with 1.5 games, I think we've got to push, because the alternative of skipping the first round and getting a best of 5 and getting those extra days off is going to do the world of good to all our banged up and tired players, and gives us that room for error that every team desires at this time of year.
Is there a, obviously, is there a lead that you think at a certain point, if the Orioles lead by this many games, the Rays should just pack it in? Is there a number?
I would say, right, we have 8 games left of the season. If they can get to 3, I think that's where it becomes insurmountable, because what we got to remember is 3 is essentially 4, because the Orioles hold the tiebreak. So I would say if they can get to 3 games away, I think at this late stage, I think that'd be really hard to catch. Yeah, I think 3. Do you have a number where you're like, okay, that's where we call it quits? Or are you like, go till it's mathematically impossible?
So my mindset on this is, I don't care how many games the Orioles are up on us. I don't want us to change the way we do business. And this is because I watch a lot of sports, and not just, baseball, watch football, soccer, basketball, across all sports. The number one way for a good team to lose is for them to change the way they do business based on what they think they need to do, or what conventional wisdom thinks they should do. Whether that's, well, we already have our lead in our division, or we don't think winning this thing matters that much, let's just rest our players. Or, hey, let's chase this record that doesn't really matter. Let's change the way we would normally do things to chase this record, and push these people to chase this record that we wouldn't normally be able to get. Anytime a team does something that is outside of what they should be and normally would be doing, it affects their mindset. It affects the way they do business. It affects the locker room, and it ultimately results in usually a loss. Most of the time, when you look at teams that say, we're just going to rest our guys, we're not going to worry about it, they lose, because guys get out of their rhythm. They don't know how to necessarily respond to that often, and they come out flat when you get to the postseason. If you're the Rays clubhouse, and
yes,
let's say sometime next week the Orioles go 2.5 games up, and you wake up and you see a lineup, and you look at that lineup and you say, I don't think that this lineup was constructed in such a way to give us the best chance to win. I think this lineup was constructed in such a way to give people rest, so we're fresh for the postseason. If I'm a player on that team, I'm going to think my manager doesn't believe in us. They think they just want to pack it in and say, play it safe. They don't think we can go for it and get to that goal that we set. And that's going to affect me. Even if I understand that it's the right thing to do, the right way to play it, to get people rest and all that, it's still going to bug me. It's going to be in the back of my head, and it's going to result in poor performances, and it's going to be hard to shake that, especially considering there's a 1 day difference between the end of the season and the start of the postseason. End of the season's October 1st. First wild card game, if we're in the wild card, is the 3rd. You get 1 day off. So, and that's all you have to flush whatever feelings you may have at the end of the season and get locked in for the postseason. So even if we are mathematically eliminated, I don't want us to change the way we do business. And obviously I respect what Cash in the front office decide to do with things, but I just don't want us to change the way we're doing things just for the sake of, well, this is the conventional wisdom, so this is what we're going to do. Because 9 times out of 10, when a team does that, they fail. They get out of rhythm. There's some mental thing in the back of their head that affects them throughout the season. Or if they've been pushed harder than they need to be, you look at some of the teams that have gone for like the undefeated seasons, frequently they do not actually win in the postseason. I think the last several years, the team with the best record has not won the World Series. So, I mean, there's been 1 or 2 exceptions, but most of the time, the team with the best record does not win the World Series. Or especially the 2 teams with the best record do not get to the World Series. I don't know the last time that's happened, honestly. It may have been
Rays Dodgers.
The Rays Dodgers was the last time that happened in a shortened season. So like it just doesn't happen that often. So don't change the way you do things. Keep yourself consistent stay within yourself. That's my feeling. I don't want to see any kind of like, well, we're just gonna rest guys, or we're gonna change up our philosophy for these last couple of games just to get people some rest. It doesn't work. It's gonna mentally affect all your players, and it's gonna put you in a bad spot. At least that's the way I view it.
Yeah, and I think Kevin Cash will follow that sentiment. He's a big guy of sticking to what works. So he's done that all the way through his tenure as manager. It's rare that he radically shakes things up. My one thing is, I don't know if there is a punt lineup in this team. I don't think there is a way to with the roster we currently have, unless you rested Josh Lowe and Isaac and Randy all in the same game, if that's even possible. And then you spot start Erasmo Ramirez. I think that's the only way you could punt at this point with the way the roster is constructed. So I don't see too much of a point of going right. Paredes, he's going off this week. He's not playing until the last 2 games of the season. I don't see the point in doing that, but I could also see an overly cautious approach to how we handle our rotation between now and the end of the season. I think short leashes may be in order if someone doesn't have it, or the slightest twinge here and there. That could be where we have short leashes where we don't want to spend bullets chasing, say Glasnow's done 7 innings, 1 run, and it's a close game. You don't keep him in for the 8th. You play it safe there, something like that. But that's the closest we're going to get to punting.
Yeah, and I think that I agree with you, because I think obviously you don't want to overtax guys, because I think that is kind of the other side of pulling guys early. It's overtaxing them. I don't want to do that. And I also think that the beautiful dance to play there, I think this is what Kevin Cash has to do. And I think it's why he left Glasnow in so long last night, is because you want your guys to be able to have an opportunity to pitch their way out of it, to get their feel back for it, and to try to overcome that, and so they can find that feel, find that release point, whatever it is that's bothering them, so they can be ready to perform at a high level once you get to the postseason, or even just for the next start. And so that's the dance I think you have to play of like, when are you hurting the team? When are you hurting yourself? And when is it, well, it's maybe not necessarily what I would do tactically, but I want him to find himself, because we have to, because that is the way the Rays usually do things, is they're going to pull guys earlier than the conventional wisdom is, but they also have a really good feel for when to leave a guy in and say, let him try to find it. And because that's more valuable in this moment. So I think Kevin Cash is a really good finger on the pulse of this team, and I think he's going to make all the right decisions going down the lineup. But I don't agree with the sentiment that is being pushed right now of just bubble wrap everybody. I don't want to see these guys, playing any more games. Just bubble wrap and we'll see in the postseason. I just don't agree with that mindset.
No, and I think if you, like you said, you're dooming your players to fail by doing that. And yeah, let's just push until the numbers say we can't anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we should definitely acknowledge the reason why people are saying that, and why they are saying we should bubble wrap everybody. It's because, to be fair, there are a lot of guys who are out right now. Just to quickly run down the list of our injuries beyond the people that we know have been injured all season. Brandon Lau fouls the ball off his kneecap. That's probably the biggest one. Fractures his patella. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Probably wouldn't be able to come back until the World Series if we got there. Luke Raley's been shut down for a couple days. What Cash has been saying, I think he got a cortisone injection yesterday. And the hope is that he can be ready for the start of the postseason. So we'll see. Siri is still rehabbing his injury. Again, he's been saying, and the team's been saying, they're hoping to have him ready for the start of the postseason, but that's hard to say. Adam comes back last night from injury and re-injures his oblique. They don't think, Cash said after the game, that he doesn't think it's it's a huge deal necessarily. I think he'll be able to recover and make it back, but they don't have any definitive information yet. Did I miss anyone?
And of course, Randy came out of the game
Yes.
last night.
Yeah.
He has a groin tweak. He's tweaked his groin. Hopefully, that's going to be a day-to-day thing. I wouldn't expect him in the lineup the next couple of days, but it looks like they're not too concerned. It seems like it's not going to be an IL thing, but he's just going to need a few days.
It definitely seemed like it was a precautionary thing. Rayleigh did go on the 10-day IL, so they definitely are not we definitely won't see him until the postseason if we see him again, which I was assuming will, but we won't see him again until the postseason. Of the injuries that we just talked about, what is the one that is the most impactful to you?
I think Brandon Lau, of course, he's going to be such a miss to this team. Just for the way he sits in the lineup, he sits at the top of the order, and you can't make a mistake to him because he will take you deep. And also, like, this is pretty old school, but he's a lefty that breaks up a very right-handed heavy top of the order that we have.
Yep.
With Lau and Rayleigh out, Josh Lowe is really our only real true lefty bat in the order right now, which can be a bit of an issue. Luckily, we've got a few lefties coming up matchup wise coming down the stretch of the season, so hopefully that won't hurt us too much. But once we hit the playoffs, we really want to have options from both the left and right side, and losing Lau there is going to be an issue. And just the way that he kind of supports the top of the lineup, where, you know, pitchers don't want to face him. We've talked about this podcast, and you and Ben have talked on this podcast at length about how people get their best stuff out for Brandon Lau. They give their best pitches to Brandon Lau. Everyone is terrified of him, of making a mistake. So they pitch him tough. And to not have that guy just sitting at the number 2 or the number 3 spot in the order behind Yandy is a real miss. And that sucks.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think that you make a good point about the left-handed bats. I think there's a pretty good chance that we see a lot of Jonathan Aranda, which we kind of already have been seeing a decent amount of. I think it's interesting that I think there's probably also a decent chance we see a decent amount of Taylor Walls because he can switch hit. So I think we'll probably see a little bit more of him down the stretch to kind of break that up as well when needed. But definitely nice that we're getting some left-handed pitching. I agree with you 100% that Brandon Lau, especially because he's the only one of these guys that are out that is kind of like, we may not see him again this year of the ones we just discussed. It's really, really tough to lose a guy that is such a important hitter in the heart of your lineup. To lose him is just really tough. I think the one that I'm the most nervous about is Adam, because even though we're in a really good place with the bullpen right now, I would say overall, I would be a little maybe concerned or like scared is the wrong word, but I would not love it if you told me Adam is just not going to be back and we're not going to have access to him going into the postseason. That would definitely be a concern of mine if we didn't have access to him.
Yeah, absolutely. The bullpen, we do have some good back of the bullpen options, some high leverage guys, because we still have Fairbanks, we still have Stevenson. We can even start ramping. I guess the problem is when Adam is gone, that third tier righty, you're probably going to have to move maybe Kittredge up into more high leverage spots, which, we used to be able to trust him. He's not quite fully back to his most electric, his 2021 form. But you'd rather have Adam in those scenarios than Kittredge. But at least we're losing him from a position of strength, as opposed to, say, a Colin Poche, which is kind of our only absolute high leverage lefty.
Yeah. And if you, our audience, would like to make your t-shirt game a position of strength for you, then I have a recommendation for you. And that is that you should go to shoprblr.com, where you can get 10% off everything you buy with promo code Flappy. Make your t-shirt game a strength of your clothing lineup. Go find a shirt that you like. Go find a Bring Back the Devil shirt. Who knows? Maybe we'll have some fun stuff for the postseason. Who knows? But definitely go find yourself a shirt. Make it something you're proud of every day. You can say, I got that. I know if nobody got me, my t-shirt game got me. Put yourself in that situation. Put yourself in a position to succeed from a clothing perspective at shoprblrsports.com. Get 10% off with promo code Flappy. In other good news, beyond just getting 10% off with promo code Flappy, let's talk about some positives, and maybe the biggest positive of the maybe one of the biggest positives of the season has been this guy named Junior Caminero. I don't know if any of you Rays fans have heard of this guy. You may have heard of him, but he has been absolutely torching every single level of baseball with a blistering over 600 slugging percentage across multiple levels, just tearing the cover off the baseball. And we found out this week that we're going to see him in the major leagues. And I'm really, really excited about this. And to me, this also shows that the Rays are not packing it in. We're saying we're going to give ourselves the best chance to win. These injuries have hurt us. So we're going to go get our number one guy. We're going to let him bypass AAA, and we're going to see what he's got at the major league level. How do you feeling about Junior Caminero coming up?
Oh my gosh, over the moon. I don't know about you, Zach, but this actually caught me completely off guard. He wasn't even on the 40-man roster yet when he got called up to the big leagues. If you want to go on social media, there's an amazing video of him being told he got the call. Some people in towels cutting it very close.
Very close. A lot of confidence in your hip bones there. From some of the durables had a little too much confidence in those hip bones.
And the jubilation was out there. If you have lived under a rock and don't know about Junior Caminero yet, let me tell you a little bit about him. He was acquired from Cleveland in a very under-the-radar trade a couple off seasons ago. We sent right-hander Tobias Myers to the Guardians in exchange for Caminero. Fun fact, I don't know if you've seen this, Zach. Do you know how we got Tobias Myers?
I do know how we got Tobias Myers. It was a player that was going to be wearing the same number, wore the same number that this guy, Caminero, is going to be wearing. That was Tim Beckham.
Yes.
Good old Tim Beckham.
Tim Beckham, perhaps one of the most regretful draft picks in Rays history, has come round by getting us Tobias Myers, who now got us Junior Caminero, who started off kind of like as a, kind of maybe fringes of the top 100. This season, he has absolutely skyrocketed. He started in high A and has come up to double A. And like you said, almost a 600 slugging percentage across the two levels, a 975 OPS, 31 home runs over the two levels, over just 112 games. So, if he had another month in him, he could be pushing 40 home runs. He has insane power, a great hit tool. He actually is putting up similar on-base percentages, similar OPSs to what Wander Franco did at his age. And he is getting called up around Wander Franco's age at 20. And he's skipping AAA, which is really, really exciting. He plays third base. He plays a little bit of shortstop. He could play second base. In a pinch, he's a decent fielder. But what you really want to see is that raw power. He had a couple weeks ago, he had a big game in AA where he hit 3 home runs, one that went 472 feet. This guy seems to be the real deal when it comes to the bat, and I'm really excited to see him. And this isn't unheard of for the Rays. We've done it before. We called up David Price, for example, to take a big role, skipping several levels of the minors and coming up to be a big role in the A. So this is something that the Rays will do if they believe in the guy, and they clearly believe in the guy. I don't think this is a cup of coffee scenario. I think he's going to be on the playoff roster, and especially with the injury to Brandon Lau, he's going to see a good few reps at third base, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, they've already cleared the path for that with him coming up in a corresponding move to Rayleigh being put on the IL, which does qualify him for the postseason roster. Definitely not a coincidence that they did it that way. And I think we could see him in a game as early as today. We have a left-handed starter in Ryu is starting for the Blue Jays, so I think there's a really decent chance. I don't think lineups have been posted yet. I don't think so.
I'm gonna just keep an eye out.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out, see if we find anything there. But anyway, I think there's a really good chance that he ends up in the lineup today. That'd be super fun if he did. Today's game is going to be really fun too. They're unveiling the I believe, are they unveiling I know they're unveiling the Longoria statue. Are they unveiling the other statue too today? The Iwamura statue? I think they are unveiling the Iwamura statue today as well. So that'll be fun. I think he's going to be at the game, actually. I think Iwamura is going to be at the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Awesome.
So that's going to be fun. Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, Emma Moore and Laura Stature's on around 130. So probably actually right about now they're unveiling it, which is really, really cool. The other call up that happened was Raimel Tapia got called up from AAA Durham. He's another left-handed bat, which is interesting. They found another lefty. He's definitely not a power bat. He's okay bat to ball skills. He's a fine defender. He's probably, I don't know that he's going to see a whole lot of starts, but he'll probably be a late game substitution. I think he plays a little better defense than Harold Ramirez, so we may see that
for
happen.
sure. Yeah,
that's by far my least favorite aspect. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't like about all these injuries, but one of my least favorite things about it is having to see Harold Ramirez play more defense in the outfield. I love Harold. His bat is phenomenal. Love the guy's bat. I really don't want to see him play any more outfield. I've seen far too much this year. I really do not want to see him playing in the outfield. If I have to turn on a postseason game in about a week, and I have to turn it on and see him sitting out there in left or right field, I may have to just sort of like turn the game off whenever a ball goes into play because I just don't want to see it. But I think Tapia will be there to kind of help alleviate some of that and give them another option in the outfield to kind of give them a little more defensive flexibility until Rayleigh and Siri get back, which hopefully will be soon. Siri seemed pretty optimistic that he could get back for the start of the postseason. Who knows? Hopefully Rayleigh gets back, but I think the call up of Caminero has really injected some energy and will inject some energy into this lineup. I'd love to see him do well. The rookies are generally bad at most things. So it'll be who knows if he's going to perform well. But it would be really fun if he did. So that's what I'm going to root for.
Yeah, cut him some slack. Don't expect him to hit 4 home runs today necessarily. I do, and that would be great. But he's going to get his feet wet a little bit. He's coming in against a team that's hungry for the playoffs and do have some high-quality pitching. So he might need to adjust considering he's literally skipped AAA. But I think expect him to get a lot of starts. I would expect the kind of A infield that you could run right now is Diaz at first, Yandy Diaz at first, Paredes at second, Walls or Paredes, Walls or Basabe at shortstop, depending on how you like the matchups, and then Caminero at third. I don't know if that's how you'd line it up, but if I were putting out a lineup today, that's what I'd do.
Yeah, I think that could be a really good lineup. I think we will probably see that lineup at some point. I think another place they could potentially play him is DH, and that is where he will be playing today. I just pulled it up on Twitter. They posted the lineup for today. Caminero will make his debut today at DH, batting in the 5-hole, which that was what shocked me. That was the most surprising thing. He is batting. The lineup for today goes Diaz, Ramirez, Curtis Mead in the 3-hole, Paredes in the 4-hole, Caminero in the 5-hole, Josh Lowe, Margot, Bethancourt, Walls. I love it. That's a great lineup. I love it. That's a masterclass lineup. I mean, imagine you get through all of that, and then by the way, Josh Lowe is still sitting down there at 6. Maybe one of the most valuable bats the Rays have. It's just hanging out down there at number 6 after Caminero. Probably, I think he's maybe providing some lineup protection for Caminero, which because the pitchers we saw last night, Paredes and Josh Lowe, opposing pitchers do not want to pitch to them. Basically saying you are going to have to pitch to Mead, and you're going to have to pitch to Caminero. I love it. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I am now. This may be one of the most exciting starting lineups we've seen this season. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the game today, and it's a UK-friendly time. It starts at 9 p.m. here in the UK, which thank you scheduling gods for that one.
Yeah, that's very fun. And before we wrap it up for today, let's talk about some guys who also were not just not been great all season. Let's talk about some guys who were great last week. Who is your bat of the week for last week?
Yeah, so Pat's bat this week is going to be one Harold Ramirez. Harold had some really good games. He has been an incredible pinch hitter, perhaps historically good as a pinch hitter, and he's come through with some big RBIs for us this week, especially off the bench. Weirdly, he's been better coming off the bench than he has been starting this week, but the importance of the hits that he has got for us has propelled him into my bat of the week status. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, Harold's been awesome this year. My bat of the week is one of the young guns. Somebody posted a video of him today after he hit his first home run, matching it up with another guy who used to play third base for the Rays a little while ago. Really fun to see their swings match up. It's Curtis Mead. He had a really nice week this week, 168 WRC plus for the week. He's getting in a lot more games. He's purporting himself well. It was super fun to see his first home run last night. I'm excited to see what he does in the lineup today, being put in a really good position to succeed with protection from Harold in front and Paredes from behind. I think it's a really great spot for him in the lineup for today. I'm excited to see what happens. He continues to be he's a part of this Rays future. I don't know if he's the future at third base or where he's going to be in the infield, but he's definitely a big part of the Rays future. And it's just been as unfun as the injuries and the situations that we've had to deal with have been for the Rays this season. Getting to see some of these guys like Curtis Mead come up and shine a little bit on the big league level has been a lot of fun. It's taken some of the edge off of some of the frustration that we have felt throughout this season. Who do you have for your arm of the week?
Yeah, so my arm of the week was someone that made a terrific start and has made significant progress this week, and that is the young Mahal Taj Bradley. He came through with a nice 5 innings, 1 earned run start against the Angels and looked really, really good. I'm really happy with that start from him. And he put us in a position to succeed, which is what you love to see anytime a starter goes out on the mound. And I know a lot of fans are frustrated with Taj Bradley's progress this year, but honestly, I don't think he was supposed to be in this role this year. But he has been there's so many good signs that make me excited for the rest of this season and into next season as well.
Yeah, you're 100% right. If this season had gone the way the Rays wanted to and planned it to, Taj may have had 1 or 2 spot starts all season long. He has been forced into a lot more than that this season, and he's performed as well as you could have expected. And we have seen him make that progress. He's my arm of the week as well, and part of the reason for that is we have seen him make consistent progress throughout the year. Even though it's been rough and bumpy sometimes, he's continuing to make progress. He is once again being resilient, not giving up, continue to fight through that difficulty, and just doing the best that he can. He is so young and performing the way he is, as young as he is. I'm still really impressed with him. He's my arm of the week as well.
Yeah, and like Blake Snell, he won the Cy Young. He's probably going to win the Cy Young again before the season is out. When he first came up with the Rays, he sucked. He really, really struggled when he first got called up to the big leagues. He had an ERA way in the stratosphere. But he still had a lot of strikeouts. It's just we had to cut down on the walks and the command issues. Mm-hmm. Sounds familiar. Sounds like a familiar story. Bradley has got a lot of swing and miss stuff in his game, and all he needs to do is just hone it in a little bit more, get ahead in counts a little bit more. And if there's someone we can trust to do that, that's Kyle Snyder. He's going to work this out, and he's going to be a big time arm, I have no doubt.
Absolutely, and I cannot wait to see the way that he continues to develop. And one more thing I cannot wait to see continue to develop is our last big topic for this week, and that is the Rays Stadium, which has been a topic of much consternation for a long time for almost everybody. There was all the talks of, are they going to move? There was the billboard that Stu put up a couple years ago during the postseason, which was super awesome, that everybody was super, super happy about. And now, after all of that nonsense, the Rays are staying in Tampa, St. Pete. They're staying in Florida. They're staying in the Tampa Bay area. I'm really excited. I've been looking over all of the plans and the pre-images that we have. It looks really fun. I'm super excited about the double Rays tanks. They've said aquarium, so I don't know if it's 2 Rays tanks or if that whole little back area there is like an aquarium. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'm really excited for the new stadium. How about you, Pat?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where it was weird having skin in the game when it came to Tampa St. Pete debate, because either way, I'm going to need to do a 7-hour flight to get there. But I believe the pros were staying in St. Pete, that they're going to develop a kind of whole complex around the stadium that contains hotels, restaurants, and make it a bit of a premier destination for people to come to, not just for the baseball, unlike Tropicana Field, which was kind of out on its own little island. I've heard a lot of comparisons to what the Atlanta Braves did with Truist Park and the Battery. They've made it out there, which if it's anything like that, that'll be absolutely outstanding, because the Braves over there have got such a great reputation for what they do around their ballpark, despite it being slightly out of town, similar to what is going on in St. Petersburg. And I'm just stoked that the people of Florida get to keep their team around, and this noise, this horrible kind of chatter in the background can finally be put to bed around Montreal and Nashville and all that horribleness. And I think that'll do well for the team. I think that'll do well for also investments in players. Now they can suddenly go, right, okay, all of a sudden we know where we're going to be here in 2028, and we can start planning around that. Perhaps we can start scheduling for higher revenue now that we've got a better stadium complex that we can bring in more attendance, bring in more commercial revenue. You could plan for that. That could lead to an increase in payroll. That could just increase everything around the area. So there's so many reasons for optimism around that. I know the Rays are covering around half of the 1.2 billion estimated cost that's coming there. And it apparently they're just ironing out the final details right now. Shovels to ground in 2024 is what they're expecting. So 2028 opening day will be a brand new park. If you got to name the brand new park, Zach, would you want it to stay something Tropicana themed, or would you rather find something new?
That's a great question. Personally, I would like it to stay as Tropicana. I have a sneaking suspicion there may be a P name associated with this new park, just because of the abundance of Publix in Florida. I think there's a chance that Publix gets involved. I have no intel on that. It's just my suspicion. It's a little odd to me that Publix, because of how big they started to grow, they don't have like a park anywhere. Who knows? Yeah, they may get involved. I think it should just be called the RBLR Sports Pavilion, because that's what everybody's really coming to see, is the team that we talk about so much and we love so much.
Yeah, RBLR Stadium. RBLR Stadium.
That has a nice name. That
goes kind of hard.
I like that. RBLR Stadium. I like that. I think. Listen. We're not telling you what to do, Stu, but I think you should really strongly consider it. I think that the only thing that I have questions on, and I actually do have a soapbox to get on about this, and I haven't heard any confirming reports that I haven't, maybe I've missed it, but I haven't heard any concerning reports. The only thing I really care about for a new stadium is the one thing that I hate about the Trop, which is the turf. It is not a coincidence, and to be fair, these injuries were sort of fluke, but it's not a coincidence that Siri, Randy, Rayleigh are all injured right now. Guess what they play on the majority of the time? Turf. They play on turf for 82 games, plus whatever they play on in Toronto. That's a lot of wear and tear on your lower body. I think it's a real problem that the Rays continue to play on turf. Even Belau is out there on turf a lot of the time, because the way they align their and if it is going to be turf, which it sounds like it may be, and if it is going to be turf, I have a problem with that. If you're going to go out of your way to create this amazing new stadium, figure out some way to keep it pavilioned and to involve real grass, because you are actively hurting your investment if you are putting your best players, a lot of which are outfielders and then middle infielders who tend to play on the turf. You're going to put your highest investment on that turf 82 games a year, or 81 games a year, and you're just making that decision, and you're like, well, that's just what it is. You're telling me that with the $1.2 billion you're putting into the stadium, you can't figure out a way to get some grass in there, so that there are domes out there that have grass in them. There is a way to do it. I've been saying this for a long time. You've got to figure it out. Your best players play on this turf. It is impacting their longevity. It is impacting their lower body integrity. You got to figure something out. And if it really is going to be turf, and I have a huge beef with that, because you had an opportunity to change these things, to change this stadium. I guess according to MLB, this new stadium will have 3 seating levels, a fixed roof, artificial turf field, operable walls, and pavilion design. So you have it. The design of this stadium is in such a way that you're letting natural light and natural air in. You could probably figure out a way to make grass work, and you just decided not to. And I'm sure it's a cost-cutting thing and all of that. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's the only thing I don't like about the new stadium. It is you are actively committing to impeding your best players' ability to have longevity, to perform at their optimum by putting them on a surface where, like, go to the NFL. Look at Aaron Rodgers. That injury to him, for him being out for the rest of the season, that is a turf created injury. He does not have that severe of an injury if that is on a grass field. It just is what it is. And the Rays are saying we're gonna put all this money into this new stadium for this team and create this awesome experience. Which, by the way, I've been to the Battery and I've been to the Atlanta Stadium. It is a phenomenal experience. If they create something like that in Tampa, it's going to be an amazing experience. I love that's a great ballpark. It's a great Truist Park. It's a great place to watch a baseball game. It's a great experience around there. If you haven't had a chance to go. It's awesome. It's a great place to watch a baseball game. And I think they will create something like that, and that's going to be great. But to do all of that, to do all this awesome stuff for the team, for the community, and then to just decide we're going to negatively affect our own investment by putting our best players back on turf and letting them just have wear and tear on their lower body all season long. We're just going to say, yeah, we're just fine with that. I don't get it. I don't understand why they wouldn't put more effort into fixing that. Soapbox over, but that's really frustrating to me.
I'm 100% with you. You're spending $600 million. I feel like the cost of implementing grass is going to be a fraction of a percent of $600 million. Just add that little bit extra. I understand that with a dome, it makes the grass slightly more difficult. But again, like Zach has just said, you're making the cost cutting at the worst possible moment, which is when it affects your on-field product. So yeah, I mean, maybe the biggest litmus test that we could have in baseball is if Kevin Kiermaier goes to a team other than the Rays or Blue Jays this coming off season, and he stays healthy all year. That'll be the big myth busted right there, because currently he has played with two teams, both of them play on artificial turf, and he's struggled to stay healthy. He's never been able to put together a real full, completely healthy season that hasn't affected his legs or his hips or his lower back. And that is of a direct impact from playing on artificial turf. So hopefully, maybe we need to get a picket line or something outside the development and get some grass going. We got to send the message out there that we need some grass. But otherwise, the Publix Pavilion or the RBLR Stadium or whatever it is a positive development. And hopefully, we'll be able to, maybe if I start saving now, I can get there for 2028 opening day.
There you go. Yeah, 2028 opening day. And again, I understand that it's I'm sure it's money. That being said, the Arizona Cardinals have a dome where they have grass in there. It's a rolling field where there is a way. There's a way to do it. And I understand that because of the way that a baseball field is constructed, it's more difficult. I understand. But my issue with it, I understand that it's difficult. I understand it would be expensive. I understand it's not as easy as just, as it may sound. I understand that it's difficult. But you have an opportunity to make a change to your stadium that has clearly been negatively affecting your investment in the form of your players since the beginning of the Trop, and you have an opportunity to change that, and you're not doing it. And I don't get it. I do not understand why there would not be more of an effort to try to improve that aspect of the stadium, to improve that aspect of the playing experience for your best players. Randy is one of your moneymakers. He is box office. He is exciting every time he's out there. I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll have to do an off season. I'll get an off season, list of all the players who've been negatively affected by turf. I'll get back on my soapbox. I'll step down for now, but I will be back. This soapbox will be back. I will make as much noise as I can possibly make, so we can get some grass for these guys, because I am tired of seeing our best players deal with lower body injuries consistently and having their careers affected by it and having our seasons affected by it.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to find ways to make sure these injuries don't happen, because they piled up this season, and it feels like there is a narrative around the Rays and injuries, and that turf is absolutely not helping. We have the golden opportunity to change that, so why don't we cash in? So we have probably have to wrap it up for today. We've talked about a lot of things, but we have a lot of exciting things to look forward to. This game today is shaping up to be a real fun one. That lineup is looking really, really fun. I'm excited to see Caminero make his MLB debut. And we've got a big rest of the series with the Blue Jays before we then go to Fenway and start facing the Red Sox. When we next see you, we'll be 2 games away from the end of the season, and we'll probably be able to tell you with either more or less knowledge of what we're doing in the playoffs. Who's to know? Who is to know? But
who's to know?
Let's get scoreboard watching. Keep an eye on those Orioles games, and we'll see you in a week's time.
We will.
Make sure to like and subscribe and share everything that we're doing so that you can get the word out for RBLR Stadium and all of our other amazing podcasts across the network. We'll see you next time.
We will. I have no comment on the way the game is going to go today, other than I hope it goes well. Thank you guys for joining us once again, and raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.